We don't have minutes from February because we didn't have quorum. Does anybody want to make a motion to approve January?
Motion to approve January meetings.
Somebody want a second?
I second.
All right. All right, so the main agenda item for today, we've got Amanda and Anna here to talk with us about social media. Amanda Barrios is with Silverman Group, which does the which has been managing the On Devon social media. How long has it been? A couple of years?
Yeah. A couple of years, ever since you guys launched the brand.
Yeah. So they've been managing that for us, and they're going to be involved, you know, moving forward as far as, you know, planning and deploying the video campaign that we're working on now with Big Buzz. And we asked her to come to the meeting today to present to the group as far as, you know, just sort of an audit of where we are, where we've been, and start the discussion on planning for where we want it to go and what our goals and ideas are for the campaign that we're launching with Big Buzz now, because we'll all be working together on that. So yeah, actually, Sandy, I know you have another meeting. If you wanted to talk through the budget revision thing real quick, or should we wait on that?
It can wait. I don't have another meeting. It's tomorrow.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, we'll get to that when we get to it then. I'll then kick it over to Amanda and Anna for discussion on social media. Take it away.
Yeah, so I'm gonna share my screen here. Let's see. You guys all see this okay?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So yes, so we, I know that Cindy or Sandy sent some files last week that hi, sorry, I'm Amanda Barrios. I haven't met all of you before. It's nice to be with you today. Indeed, I work with Elizabeth at the Silverman Group and was actually part of when your team launched all your social platforms with the new On Devon brand a couple years ago. I had since I'm not really managing the day-to-day. You know, my colleagues are doing the content and doing some of the day-to-day stuff. But so I'm really kind of a fresh set of eyes as I was brought back into, sorry, it got dark in here. I was brought back in to do an audit to check out kind of what performed best in 2020, what performed best on all your channels, and using that information to make some recommendations for content and engagement moving forward. So those documents, one of them that was sent Friday was the full audit, and that's not what we'll be going through today. This is a lot less pages, but that audit basically showed every single most popular post per month per platform. So if you haven't had a chance to review that, do it when you can. It's basically to give you an idea of what's performing the best. So as opposed to me showing you all of that here, that's just kind of like some separate homework. And so this document is showing kind of the findings and the recommendations moving forward. I did just want to put this slide together of the #1 post of 2020 on each channel, the top posts for Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, just to really show that it's not a one size fits all as far as content performing best. Things that perform great on Facebook might not on Instagram. So this really kind of shows you what was the most popular for each platform. In Facebook, the most popular post was this patio season announcement. On Instagram, we had this very aesthetically beautiful photo talking about the Doshi exhibition at Wrightwood 659. And then on Twitter, we just had this fun Do You Love Samosas kind of a partner tweet touting some media personnel involved with this event. So that just gives you a snapshot of kind of how different these things are. And so as far as really quickly, your demographics on each page, you know, who's the average person we're talking to when we post. So based on your demographics on Facebook, we mostly seeing women between the ages of 35 and 44 who live in Chicago, probably nothing surprising there, who speak English. Instagram skews younger, 25 to 34. Twitter, those demographics are no longer accessible. As of a year or so ago, Twitter made that kind of information a little less accessible, so we don't have that. But and then I took the top popular post of each year, and I kind of averaged out the reach for the whole year. So basically, these are kind of benchmarks for us. Facebook successful post reach 794. Instagram successful post likes 22. These are kind of benchmarks of successful posts. We should be kind of trying to hit these numbers. And again, this is it might sound a little low, but it's a new page. You know, these are new pages. They're pretty fresh. So starting from fresh in the past couple of years, not really doing much advertising and stuff. These are our numbers. So, you know, hopefully we continue to grow. But so then what I did for each of the successful posts of each month, after I pulled all that information in that audit that you have, I tried looking and tried to find what was the common denominator with all these posts. What is the pattern with what appears to be the most popular post? And I kind of categorized them into these different categories and ranked them for each platform. So for Facebook, as far as the most popular posts, number one, and we'll keep in mind this was a COVID year, so you know these are not going to be surprising by any means, but the number one most popular posts on Facebook were those having to do with relief efforts. And here I just put a screenshot of that post from when this restaurant was helping first responders. So while, you know, there'll be ideally less and less of this year as far as relief efforts, it does tell us that our followers like to see the neighborhood doing good in response to whatever's going on. They like to see it. It is feel good. So the second most popular were media mentions and links. So basically, anytime we share when Devon Avenue or a neighborhood in the business is in the media, or anything related to a link we share about the ethnic traditions or holidays of those in our neighborhood, those perform very well on Facebook. And then third most popular was something related to a special event, something with a date that people can keep an eye out for. And lastly, leisure. And I'm considering leisure here like that patio season post. So like, you know, enjoy the start of spring, enjoy a staycation at On Devon, happy hour, things like that that just involve leisure. And then for Instagram, we see it a little different. The most popular posts I found on Instagram had to do with national days. This ranged from like, these were mostly kind of silly, like National Cheesecake Day. Those kinds of things performed well on Instagram. Second was posts having to do with Indian heritage. So maybe that tells us a little bit more about our Instagram demographics, certainly. And then third, I found posts that started with a question performed well. Lastly, something that had a special offer. This week only is $5 off when you order an appetizer at X. Lastly, Twitter. Most popular were the media mentions. Again, going back to news articles related to either the neighborhood or things of interest to those in our neighborhood. Second were posts that started with questions. Third were relief efforts. And fourth, again, special event, something with a date tied to it that people can keep on their radar. So that is how, in a very quick snapshot, what is working right now for social media. Is there any questions so far, or anything?
I had
anyone wants to-
a quick question for you. Are we spending any money for blasting these posts, like on Facebook or?
That'll be in an upcoming slide to see how a couple of our ads did. There were a couple boosted posts in October, and so I will show that in upcoming slides. But this, when I did the audit that you received, it's all organic. So like everything is top performing content. I didn't take into consideration the paid stuff because obviously the paid stuff's going to perform better. I just looked at like the organic engagement that we got. And then I will share more about the ads. So then after doing that full audit, I just put together this sheet about things we should keep focusing on and things that we didn't really focus on in 2020 that we should start to focus on. So I'll quickly read this. So in 2021, we should position our content to align with the categories I identified in the previous slide. We do a lot of kind of promoting ourselves in our posts. We should try to think about posts that are talking with our followers instead of at them. Not everything needs to be a post about how great our neighborhood is, which leads me to the next point. Our posts should aim to educate followers. It could be news clips, interesting facts about the culture, tradition, and holidays of the various ethnicities that make up our neighborhood. So talking about the things that our followers care about. I mean, they're already following us. They know we're there. They're following us because they have an affinity. So let's give them some engaging posts that are enriching and not just, this restaurant is great. Ask questions that followers will be compelled to answer in the comments. I have a bullet here to utilize influencers with large followings for content. More on that on the next two slides. And then here I just kind of, you know, for Facebook, I've noticed that people really engage with information versus Instagram. People really engage with high quality imagery with artistic value, great visuals, striking visuals with stopping value. And then with Twitter, I think to really enhance what we're already doing right now, which just to put it out there right now, the Silverman Group is posting 2 posts a week per platform. That's it. We're not doing engagement stuff. We're not going in and following. We're not doing influencer stuff. So I just want to, these are kind of recommendations for enhancing our pages. So for Twitter, in addition to regularly scheduled posts, media hits should be shared with multiple tweets, tagging the journalists and outlets wherever possible. You know, Twitter is really where journalists live and get their leads. And so if we're tagging them in the articles and things that they are associated with and they reshare it, we're going to get a great reach. You know, quantity on Twitter is just as important as quality, given the very short shelf life of tweets. And anything that's by nature, short and sweet, like an inspiring quote, a quick holiday greeting, performs well. And then content recommendations in general, these are things that I think would have performed well in 2020, but we didn't really do much of. I think we need to do a lot more of putting a face to the neighborhood, spotlighting business orders, spotlighting the faces and people who make the neighborhood what it is, instead of showing merchandise, instead of showing food, show posts with people in them. And definitely a lot more neighborhood focused history and nostalgia. That's something that I think is a big opportunity to be able to show, like maybe a historic photo, like this is what the street looked like in 1953 versus now, or spotlighting some really older neighborhoods. People love feeling nostalgic. So I think that is a big area of opportunity. And then just to go, back to the influencer front, I very quickly, when putting this together, went to look to see who's tagged us and stuff, who's tagged themselves on the
Amanda,
street. Yes.
Amanda, just a quick question. Does everyone know what an influencer is? Do you need us to explain what an influencer does?
So very basically, someone with a lot of followers on social media. So, a news journalist can be an influencer, but there's obviously social media influencers, lifestyle influencers, foodie influencers who have, followers in the thousands who we can, engage, and we, in the Silverman group have our own lists with these different categories of influencers who we have relationships and have worked with before. But is that comprehensive, Anna? Is that enough of an explanation?
I hope so. I guess no one was asking, but I just wanted to make sure we were able to explain that if anyone was wondering what's an influencer. So it looks like everyone got it.
Yeah. So I quickly looked to see recently who's tagged us or who's even posted a geotag on the street on Devon, not even tagging our account, but you can kind of see a lot of times who's posted in the area. And then I kind of looked to see of those posts, which ones are standing out with a lot of engagement. So here's one where someone tagged us. I'm actually friends with this Misty person, but she is actually owns her own food photography business. In any case, Misty recently posted this food dish, my go-to for goat curry. For she's talking about, she's clearly familiar with the neighborhood. This is an establishment she's clearly dined at before. This is something that looks really organic if we were to reshare it on our own feed, instead of us showing, to be able to show posts from other people and the captions from other people, especially people with a following, makes it look like we're trending, we're happening. Look at all these people who are dining on Devon. But not to mention, on the engagement front, all I really have to do is spend a minute scrolling down all her comments, liking them, saying, oh, thank you. That act alone of like looking at these posts and seeing who engaged with them and engaging with those who engage with them is going to yield us more followers and engagements to our own page, because they're like, oh, here's this post Misty posted on Devon, and oh, I didn't even know on Devon had an Instagram. I'm going to follow them. So this is an example of someone who knew to tag us, but then this was an example I found of this young woman who just posted this photo on the street. She's not promoting the street. She's not saying, I love, my neighborhood. I'm assuming she lives there. She got 1,200 likes for this post. So this is kind of where I can be like, oh, great post. Do you live in the neighborhood? Would you be willing to visit XYZ restaurants and post about it? So this is where, maybe we can engage someone new and get some earned attention, earned media, maybe in exchange for a free appetizer somewhere or something. But this was just kind of, these past two photos I was able to find in 2 minutes, and there's a lot where that came from. In other words, there's a whole lot of content for us to find and engage with. We don't always have to go to the businesses and take our own photos and post those ourselves. Other people are kind of doing that for us. So that's like a few ways we can engage content creators or influencers, if you will. And then any questions about influencers? Okay. So then moving on to Facebook ads. So I saw that there in the entire year of 2020, there were 2 Facebook ads. I'll show them in the next 2 slides how they performed, but this gives you a really nice snapshot. You know, it shows you throughout the year, these kind of blue little spikes are your new followers throughout the year. So you see it, you know, kind of a few each month. And then you see this huge spike where we ran an ad. So I don't think I really, so 41% of your new followers in 2020 came organically just from the 2 posts a week that we're doing. 27% came from ads, and mind you, there were only 2 ads. So imagine if there was like multiple, I have a feeling it'd be pretty 50-50 as far as new followers. And then the other 24% uncategorized desktop, that usually means like someone shared your post and then their people were then attracted to your page. So let's look at the ads that yielded this, you know, spike. One of the ads was created with the goal of promoting the On Devon Facebook page. So it was kind of an evergreen advertisement just about On Devon in general. And the call to action was like this page. So they're seeing kind of very generic photo and description about what the neighborhood's all about. And they clicked to like the page. So basically, this ad ran for 7 days. It was $30 total, and it yielded 143 new page likes, which is a lot. And then these other bullets show all the other engagement, but the goal of the post was to get new page likes, and indeed, our page likes shot up following the advertisement. And then the other ad that ran in 2020 was this feed post. It was a Giving Tuesday post. It is sharing a Chicago Eater article about Devon Avenue facing peril. It tagged all these neighborhood restaurants. And the goal for this ad was just to get engagement. We spent $25 in 4 days and reached over 1,500 people, 209 people engaged. So they commented, liked, shared. So $25 for 209 people engaged in 4 days. So those were our Facebook ads. So I think there's a big opportunity, especially as we launch the video campaign, to put a plan around that to really make a splash. And so lastly, kind of the magic question all the time with any client I talk to is, how often should we even be posting? Like, what's the magic number? And I really say that, like, if you're just even a singular business, 2 to 3 times a week minimum on Facebook and Instagram. But if you have stuff going on, 4 to 6 times is more ideal. And so you are representing a bunch of businesses. So I would lean on that higher number. And then as far as the posts with way shorter shelf life, like a tweet or an Instagram story that expires in 24 hours, I would say at minimum 3 to 6 times a day and up to 15 a day max when there's stuff to share, news to share. So that's kind of, I think, a best practice type of thing. And those
Amanda,
were,
sorry,
yeah.
Amanda. I just want to also, can you go back to the other slide? Yeah.
Yes.
I just want to, for perspective, for instance, RPBA posts about 3 times a day on our Facebook page. Here, we're saying it's 2-3 times a week. We're suggesting maybe doing it 4 to 6 times a week. But at RPBA, we do 3 times a day, at least on Facebook. On Twitter has a very short lifespan. So a tweet lasts approximately 20 minutes before it gets pushed to the bottom, because Twitter moves really fast. So on Twitter, we post at least 5 times a day, if possible, sometimes more, sometimes less, right? I sometimes I also don't have any content, right? But try to either use old posts or refresh them. But on Twitter, we do about, I would say 6 times a day sometimes. And I just wanted to share those numbers for perspectives.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And, you know, certainly even with the days where it feels like no content, you know, Anna's going to see what's going on at certain businesses and resharing their stuff. So that is, you know, what I consider an engagement task. It's not something we're currently doing with you guys, but that was my recommendation, Doc. I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Quick question. You know, if you can go back to the other screen, you said that some is recommended, and is that what we're posting right now, or this is?
No, so the Silverman Group is doing 2 posts a week per platform. That's what our contract is. So this is certainly an ideal. This whole recommendations doc is kind of suggesting to grow your page, grow your engagement. These are some things that we should be focusing on.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Amanda, do you have the numbers of our current followers for each platform?
So let's see, let's get an up-to-date number here, guys. So on Devon, we're looking at oh gosh, my phone is slow. Okay, so on Devon, we're looking at just over 1,000 followers, 1,050. Instagram, we're looking at 338. And that number can shoot up with, you know, even just one influencer engagement. And then on Twitter, we are looking at 84.
I think overall, yeah, we're suggesting adding the frequency of posts per account. Also adding more ads, right? So paid posts or ads would definitely help, as you saw that big spike, right? And I think our goal is to get more followers and likes, so then our message gets to a broader audience and it has a bigger reach. So it would be adding more, doing more posts, being able to do more ads, perhaps hiring an influencer here and there. I'm not suggesting for every post, but like maybe once or twice a year. Yeah, I think those are the 3 main suggestions, right, Amanda?
Yeah, or engaging, you know, a lot of influencers we work with will do an exchange. You know, some of them are just excited to be featured on the On Devon page at all and are happy to share content that we help them curate, or we set up a, you know, I know we talked about a little bit kind of on a promote, you know, really making Devon Avenue feel like a destination. Is there someone who we set up to get coffee somewhere, lunch somewhere, shop somewhere, and maybe they get 10% off or something like that. So not everything needs to be paid, but we can certainly engage other content creators to do stuff for us that'll help us get out there more. So that's all I have for today. I think that you guys have the doc from Elizabeth about the video stuff. So if there's no other questions, And you guys also have my email if you want to reach out after the fact or something in the audit is like, what is that? But do look at that audit doc too to see what kinds of things did well over the year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Amanda. Thanks for good presentation. A lot of good stuff here. I mean, and even, you know, the audit and some of the recommendations, you know, might even be useful for some of you that are doing this for your own business. So definitely check it out if you haven't already. Before we get into discussion on planning for the campaign, Sandy's got to jump to another meeting at 3:30, but wanted to go over, we have an item on the 2020 budget that we need to do a budget revision on. And yeah, so I'll kick it over to Sandy to sort of go over that. We're not changing anything. We didn't go over we did go over in a category, but not over on budget. So we just need to move something from one category to another.
All right, this is a lot easier than that. So if you all remember, when Place Consulting left, we did our budget in June for 2020. We did our budget in June of 2019 for 2020. We learned that Place Consulting was going to leave in October, and then we never did a budget revision for the 2020 budget. So basically, we had money in the 2020 budget for Place Consulting, which is in SSA management, which is the 6.0 category, if any of you know the numbers. And we just need to move that dollar amount into the 7.0 category. And this is for last year's budget. So it's already been spent, it's already been done. It's just that when we get our audit done, we don't want to have a ding, I guess. You know, they will send us a notification saying we went over. So we went over in 6.0 and under in 7.0. If we move the Place Consulting money from 6.0 to 7.0, then they'll both be under budget and we won't get dinged on our audit.
What was the 7.0 category again?
7.0 is personnel and 6.0 is management. So we were paying Place Consulting and Gina out of management, not out of personnel, because they weren't on the payroll. And then basically we moved that money into payroll for Cindy and me and Brandon and all that kind of stuff. So was that a motion, Pete?
Sure, what the heck. I motion we move money from 6.0 category to 7.0 category.
Thank you.
Anybody want a second?
Anybody want a second?
Yeah, I'll do the second.
Here, I'll second it.
Thanks, everybody. A
Yes,
second,
sorry,
second,
that I
third.
muted.
Not a lot of fire going on today.
No, right? It's because it's snowing.
All
I
right.
think we need to vote.
Yeah, all in favor of doing the budget thingy for 2020?
Pete says aye.
Yeah, in favor.
Me
All right.
too.
Thanks. Cool. All right, so back to, goal setting for the upcoming social media video campaign. So thank you, Amanda, for the presentation on sort of the where we've been. You know, we wanted to have that for this meeting so that we could tee up a discussion of where we want to go. You know, what do we want to get out of this campaign that we're now doing? You know, do we want to put a little bit more money into our social media to implement some of these recommendations in conjunction with this campaign that we're getting ready to do? And what other ideas do folks have? So I'll sort of open up the floor for that.
What do you mean? I like more marketing ideas? Is that what you mean?
Or anything, if there's any other, you know, thoughts or things that you want to do with social media for On Devon.
Keep doing what we're doing. Like you said, add some more posts and ads. Frankly, I mean, we're missing the banners that we got up are like a bunch of them torn up. Our lights still aren't working. I mean, that's the stuff I'm kind of, the stuff that would create more is what I'm concerned with a little more, I'll be honest with you.
I think we need to get a little bit more of an aggressive marketing campaign and more pictures, more posts. So what we need to prep, we can get an estimate for that.
How much are we paying Silverman Group monthly?
So currently, our current contract is at $1,000 a month, and that's at that 2 posts per week per platform level. They did show us some pricing information as to, sort of upgrade options that would allow us to sort of increase that. Let me find that email.
Yeah, Cindy, I was going to ask, has the commission had a chance to view those tiers or a la carte kind of options?
We haven't sent around like in writing like what the pricing is, because but they did share that with us, and I'm now trying to find it. Anna or Sandy, I don't know if either of you's got that email sort of teed up, because we did want to have a sense of that coming into this discussion today. That's not it either.
Anybody else want to chime in on that price? I mean, I'm actually in talks with somebody right now. They're quoting me close to $500 for 7, basically 1 post every day on Facebook and Instagram. And it includes.
I can't hear you very well, Jay. Can anyone hear Jay very well? I couldn't hear him.
Yeah, it was really soft, like really at a distance, Jay. I don't know if you're able to get closer to wherever your microphone is.
On the email, do you want me to share it, or I can send it to you too, so it's fresh in your inbox.
Yeah, or I can, and I can even screen share if need be.
Okay.
Hop off to prepare for the next call.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Yeah.
Thank you guys. Good to see you. Take care.
Thanks a lot.
So much.
Thanks,
We'll be in touch.
Amanda. I emailed it to you, Cindy.
Yeah, I'm looking for it now.
Okay.
It just hasn't popped up yet. I think it just got buried in my black hole inbox. So yeah, we're the base level right now of them just maintaining and doing the 2 posts a week. We've been paying $1,000 a month, which compared to some of the other districts, like for Howard Street, we have a company that we use. We pay a good bit more, not that much more, but if we want to really up our game here, like there is a cost for doing so, but it's probably worth doing. And it's also worth noting that it is something that we've budgeted for in our 2021 budget. So the current total fee, sorry?
Seems like a little bit much, no?
Compared to some of the other ones we've seen, not really. For 2 posts per week per platform, so 6 total posts per week and all of that. They're offering sort of 2 tiers. The first being to increase it from the 1,000 to 3,000 a month. And what that does is, they spend more time on sourcing photos and content to populate the page, and bumping from 2 posts per week to 4 to 5 posts per week per platform. So really more like 15 posts per week from 6 now. And retweeting and sharing to stories, daily engagement with other social media accounts on behalf of the page, which no one is doing right now. So engaging with those other people that are tagging us, posting pictures that are geotagged, things like that, responding to public inquiries and actively commenting on related posts, which is not happening now. Providing feedback and language for marketing campaigns and managing all of our ads and event pages and all of that, because that's not happening now either. Monthly advertising budget to be determined by the SSA commissioners, and boosting social media posts to increase engagement and attract new followers. This isn't something that we've historically done. Anna and I like did a little bit of it like the end of last year. That's where you saw those 2 posts for October, November, where we did do some boosting of those posts, and that resulted in, you know, decent increases to our follower count for not a whole lot of money, but it's not something that anyone has really had specifically in their scope to manage day to day. So this is something that we could put in the contract with Silverman for them to take on, which I think, you know, is something that we could, you know, pretty easily swing budget wise. And then in addition to this, they also sort of offered like a premium tier, the second tier, which is $3,500 a month, and some additional budget for them to come out to the business district quarterly and take new pictures and create new content, you know, themselves or ourselves, in addition to doing some of that influencer engagement and managing of ads and content creation. So that's still 4 to 5 posts per week. Sorry? Was there a question? I couldn't quite hear.
I think he's in San Francisco.
Sorry. So yeah, the premium version, the $3,500 a month, you know, tax on these quarterly half-day visits that they build for, where they're exploring the neighborhood, taking interior and exterior photos that we can use, visiting businesses, you know, new images of products, of food, of people, editing those images for social media use, and more of that online influencer engagement. And I can send this around too, if people want to sort of read into it more. But you know, everybody figures, you know, it's easy to think like, oh, social media, like that should be like cheap and easy. But I mean, especially like, you know, from where I'm sitting, like where I've got 3 business districts that each have social media, like there's not enough hours in the day for me to manage all of that. It really does make sense to hire someone to do this, which we've done, but we're sort of at bare minimum level. And if we're really talking about upping our game with marketing here, I think this is, you know, I think probably the easiest way to do that. Any questions, comments, thoughts on that?
Sorry, guys. Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, so
Yeah, you're good.
I think the price is a little high. I'm getting a quote. I'm actually working on somebody getting a quote right now, and they're quoting me close to around 500 for 1 post per day over all 3 platforms. So that's about 20 some posts per week. And they're quoting me about 500, which I think is high. I'm trying to negotiate them down. And that also includes, I believe, they want an extra 125, 150 for like graphic design and, you know, basically like putting together like, hey, Merry Christmas. Hey, Happy New Year. Hey, Happy 4th of July. Hey, you know, like all the whatever holidays or events or, you know, things that are going on in our area. They basically do the graphic design for that. They design that, send you 2, 3 options and you pick one. So, I mean, for the graphic design and about 20 posts a week, they're close to around $650.
Was that per week or per month?
That's a monthly charge.
Well, I'd like to see that in contract form, and I'm not sure we're comparing apples to apples here.
Yeah, definitely, because I mean,
fair enough. That's fine.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's from what I'm talking to these guys, I think it's a little high. I mean, sure, half their team is overseas and half their team is here, so they do have feet on the ground in Chicago too. But I mean, they are outsourcing some of the work. But I mean, it's a significant difference in price. You know, I think it's like 1/3 or even 25% of what these guys are quoting us.
Get some like 6-year-old Chinese kids to do it. It'll be cheaper.
And the same could be said of literally anything. I mean, I think the nice thing about working with Silverman specifically, I know several people like had reached out to me over the holidays and asked about upgrading marketing, trying to get more earned media and things like that. Like since Silverman is a PR company, all of the, they also have relationships with, local media in addition to like any influencers and social media expertise. So that helps. But I think, that $3,500 a month. So we did bid last year, social media management for Howard Street, and 3,000 was definitely within the realm of the kind of quotes that I was seeing. So for to go through an agency like this with this kind of experience, I think that does seem to be the going rate, especially
I agree
to handle
with
the
you.
back end.
Yeah, I agree they're a big company and everything, but I mean, look at the performance. I mean, in 1 year that they've had it, I mean, how many people have liked our page? I mean, the numbers are in front of it. It's like 300 people. It's like one a day. I mean, it's not impressive, and it's more than a year. I mean, it's not like it's only been 1 year. It's been well over a year, and people have been sitting at home all year last year. So that means everybody's been sitting on their computer during COVID, and we have 350 likes or 180 followers on Instagram. I mean, I don't know. The numbers kind of speak for themselves. I don't know if you guys are impressed by those numbers, but I personally don't think that's a very high number.
I want to say that the numbers do reflect the money spent in the budget, right? If we're only posting twice a week, yeah, that means that you will not get big numbers. You're not going to get a lot of comments. You're not going to get a lot of engagement. And also what has impeded a lot of growth is also the fact that there is not a lot of content. So that means you have to create the content. The content doesn't come to you, right? For RPBA, for instance, I'll use us as an example. A lot of our businesses are very, very active on social media. So that means that it's easy for me to find content, right? Like I know that Smack Dab is always going to have fresh content on their Facebook page, and I can share that. With Devon, that's not the case, right? There's only a few businesses that are active. So there is lack of content creation. And I do want to point out that this is about quality, right? And I do know that the quality of the content created by the Silverman Group it's pretty high. It's very good content. And I do think that the reason you don't see those numbers is because we are not spending the money. And I do social media. I don't do it full time, but I can tell you one post can take up to 30 minutes to create. So it's not something that happens in 5 minutes. It's not something that takes 10 minutes. You have to a lot of times create images, right? Because if you link a website and the website doesn't have a high definition images, then the post won't have a high definition image. Therefore, you have to go and create one. And you have to then create the content and tag people, make sure that the information you're sharing is correct. So it does take a considerable amount of time. And yeah, I mean, the numbers don't seem high, but if you see the ads, you see that the content is actually really good, right? Because to spend $30 and get 125 followers, that's insane. That's a really big number. I spent $50 and I'm lucky if I get 10. So that means that the content that was created was engaging enough, right? That $30 got you 125 people to follow. So I think that also speaks for itself about the quality of the information share. And like Cindy was saying, the price, yes, you can get a student to do it for you for $200, for $500, and create a lot of content. Does that mean it's gonna be good content? You're taking a really high risk.
I mean, I used a similar company for my business, and we just actually cut them off, I think, in November, and it looked like very good content. You're welcome to look at my Facebook page. We had to cut them off for a different reason. That's why we're looking for a new company. But they did seem like they had good content. I mean, I don't know. This is almost, I think we're in 16, 18 months now. We've had them. So, Cindy, you know when we started with these guys?
Silverman, I think, has been doing on Devon social media since before I got involved. Anna, I don't know if you've got a sense as to timeline on that. I don't know if it's something that you would have worked with Gina on.
Right. So I think Gina was doing it for a while. And I would say that when Space was doing it, not only was the content not very engaging, there were a lot of typos. The posts were also like to celebrate a holiday. She was posting them like at 6 p.m. instead of like early during the day, right? When they would have been fresh for a longer amount of time. Growing audience it's extremely difficult. RPBA has had their Facebook page for about let's say I have been managing for about 6 years, and we have about 3,000 followers. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of money, and the Devon has already 1,000, right? In like 2 years. We are in 6 years and we have 3, right? And I think what we're missing too is that engagement part. And I'm not sure if when you are just creating content and you're just putting it out there, but you're not going out there and liking other posts, following other pages, sharing other things, that creates engagement, right? And so if we're not paying Silverman to do that, so they're not doing that. All they're doing is putting those 6 posts a week. The additional money then would allow them to go to the Westridge Facebook page, see what they're posting, sharing it if it's relevant, liking, seeing who they are following, and following those pages. So it definitely is way more time and dedication for those things.
It doesn't lend itself as easily to automation or outsourcing as some of these other things.
Guys, I'm looking at the numbers. I think we spent about 20 grand, and we're looking at how many followers and traction we have. It's embarrassing. For $20,000, that's all we could do. That's a reason to move on to a next company. That's my opinion, but I have one vote and not more than that. So I think it's ridiculously overpriced, but that's just my opinion.
What makes you think that switching to another company will get you more followers? That's the thing. To me, the thing isn't so much the money. If you're questioning this, then you should just drop the whole thing entirely. I don't think it's going to make if you know what I mean. I don't think it's going to make any. You could spend $40,000 or
no. I think they're right that if you do post more, if you are on there all the time, that people start to notice you and you will get more followers. I mean, she's right. The numbers that she put up there on the screen, it makes sense. Yeah, 4 to 6 posts a week for Facebook. Yeah, I mean, you should be posting every 1, 2, 3 times a day for Instagram. I mean, that stuff makes sense. The way she put it up, it does make sense. The way it's done is basically the company the way I'm doing it, the company that I'm hiring, I get them to work on it. I give them content for the month. They put together the content for the month, and it goes on a third party server. So let's say this third-party server, for example, one that's available to everybody, I believe it's called CoSchedule. You go on CoSchedule. CoSchedule will tell you which times is the best time to put a post on for Facebook, Instagram, blah, blah, blah. They give you all this data that says, hey, at 4 a.m. on Instagram is a good time for you to post for this type of stuff. What you don't have to do, put in your content, put it into the computer, and at 4 a.m. automatically, it will post that content on that site, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or whatnot. So we load up all the information in the early of the month, and we do the changes as we go on, obviously. But you try to schedule it month to month, and you put on all those posts. So every morning at 6 a.m. you're gonna get a post. It's not like, oh, the guy wasn't feeling good or this person didn't do it. I mean, it's all automated. So the post will go out at 6 a.m. every single day for whatever we wanted to say. I mean, you just have to put that content together.
I think the difference, though, Jay, is you mentioned that, you're just one business versus a business district that's marketing, dozens of businesses, and that you're able to give them basically the content that you want them to include. You've got a list, you hand it over to them to do the graphic design, they do it, they schedule it. We don't have the bandwidth, the capacity to do that in-house, right? We don't have the content to give them. We are partly hiring them to be on top of finding content, creating content, because that's not been historically something that we've been able to do or even source from our businesses, because so many of the Devon businesses are not as active on social media as you guys.
Yeah. I mean, I think.
Do you create your own content?
Yeah, I mean, I give most of my information, yeah.
Ah, you're creating your own content.
That's the
So
difference.
all they're doing is scheduling. I use Hootsuite to schedule. In fact, if you're creating the content and all they're doing is scheduling, then
And
you're
doing the
right.
graphic
500.
design.
Then you're right. $500 is way too much because they should. If I thought they were creating content and scheduling, but if they're
So-
all they're doing is scheduling, then yeah,
So by
$500 is a lot.
By creating content, they text me, hey Jay, what do you want us to put today? And I say, the gold prices have gone down. Give me an article and give me an idea on what the gold price is going down. They come back to me with 4 different options and saying, hey, how does this look? Gold prices are down. Buy gold now, this and that. They put together the whole thing for me, and I just pick which one I like. It's not like I sit there
You
and
do
tell
that
them,
every
okay,
day?
write this, write that. I do it on a
Do
month.
that every day?
I do it on a month-to-month basis. So we plan whatever holidays are coming up, whatever things are coming up, we plan it.
I'm not sure this is apples to apples comparison, frankly,
Yeah.
but I'm willing to check it out. I don't care. You know, I mean, I got no skin in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, look, there's not money going out of my pocket. I think it's overpriced. I mean, you're welcome to take other people's opinion who are using social media companies. You know, I think who else in here uses a social media company or has used anybody? Does anybody else have any experience on this?
Look for somebody that can come out and do the content and post and be a little more involved. I think this is too corporate the way they're doing it for us.
Yeah, I mean, I think the 3,500 that they're asking, I'm sure we could find somebody for half the price to come out on Devon, go out to stores, engage with people, take interviews, pictures, put all that stuff together and get it on there. I mean, it's.
Well, if you find that, go ahead. I don't know, man. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I mean, having just done a contract like this last year for another business district, yeah, like if you want the engagement and the content creation, like these are the kind of bids you're going to get if you're wanting to work with actual professionals. Because
gonna
we're a
say,
district.
And when Gina was doing this, she was the one going out there and taking photos, right? It was really hard for her. And she was in the district all the time and taking photos and businesses.
And we were paying her salary.
Right. And it was very, very hard for her to get the content and to get businesses to let her take photos, to do interviews. Remember, I don't know if you remember, but there was that survey or questionnaire that was sent around for businesses to provide information about their specials and to provide their menu ideas. And so for her to create content, that went nowhere really fast. So it's not easy.
And one of the things that, go ahead.
Hire somebody part-time to do this.
I'm sorry, Rashad, you cut off. What did you say?
I think for the money we spent, we're saying $20,000, we can hire somebody part-time to do this.
That's
I agree.
what we're talking about doing. We're just talking about hiring a team of professionals to do it rather than just some kid.
Well, no, if you hire, somebody that does this and pay them $20,000, $30,000 a year, I'm sure we'll get a lot more posts out there than what we're getting now. I mean, if you guys want to put together a team, we can go get some estimates. Do you have, Cindy, the last contract, so we have something to work off of that you can email us?
So I have the current 2 posts a week contract, I think. I'll have to find that, but it's a very narrow scope of work. I think either way, you want a much more enhanced scope.
Didn't you say you had the scope for 3,000 and 3,500 also?
Oh yeah, the scope that she sent me for the enhanced. Yeah, I've got that and I can send that. Let me do that.
I'd like to price this out with a few people because I personally think it's overpriced, but you guys might be right. You guys are the professionals. I don't want to step on any toes. So, but I would like to get a shot at pricing this out.
Also, like sort of worth noting as a point of order here, and I'll put it in the email. So in our current FY 2021 budget right now for social media, so it's sort of broken out into two different categories within, that's not the right one, within the customer attraction budget for SSA 43. We currently have the current contract right now, and we had budgeted for some additional social media enhancement campaigns and what have you. So this is 21. And for, sorry, customer attraction. Because it is actually, even at the higher levels, this is something that we have budgeted for in FY21. We've had some savings in some other areas. So for PR and media relations, we had budgeted for 1 to 2 social media campaigns. We have $10,000 in the current year budget, in addition to the social media management line item, which is 4,500. So it is something that we've budgeted for this year. And there's not too much to be accomplished by just hanging on to that money and having it sit in reserves. It is something that we have the cash for to do. We're not likely to be having Devon's Got Talent this year, and that was still in this budget at 60,000. So we've got plenty of room in the customer attraction budget to fund something like this, even at that higher level. And I think it's worth discussing, because I know we've had several inquiries from commissioners and businesses about really trying to do more with marketing this year, given the struggles that we've had during 2020. We want to come out strong. Now that businesses are starting to reopen, and all of the hardscape, stuff that Pete mentioned before is in budget too, to redo the banners and redo the lights. I haven't gotten quotes from Scott yet still. He was supposed to get me quotes today. Hasn't happened. But he knows that we are needing to replace lights this year, and we've budgeted for that.
So where are we at here?
So I just forwarded the email from Elizabeth about pricing recommendations, and to give you a sense of what those 2 levels of scope of work are. And if there's stuff that we want to take out and get that to a lower monthly number, I'm happy to have that conversation with her. Because maybe that's, something where we want to ramp up more slowly. Either way, separate from all of this, we do have the pictures and videos that are being worked on now by Big Buzz. That's all covered by the canceled Devon's Got Talent contract. So that's not incurring an extra cost, because that's just them sort of doing that in place of the prior contract that we weren't able to cancel. So we have that content coming. But what's needed now is goal setting and management of what we do with it. Pete, you're muted.
I just said, okay.
Anna also just added in the chat a note recommending that, any SSA money that we are spending on this or marketing or anything else, as a matter of policy, really should be focused on being spent with Chicago vendors and locally based vendors, rather than outsourcing, internationally and out of state, which is a good thing to bring up too, because that is something that we're likely to get asked about, from the city when when they go and look at everything.
Are we making a decision here, or is this just a conversation?
We don't have to vote on it today. I know we've got a couple commissioners that are not with us at the moment. But as far as goal setting for what we want to do with the Big Buzz videos, it does kind of play into that. I mean, what kind of mileage do you want to see us getting out of this content that is being created for use on social media? We want to make sure that it's being implemented in the most effective way. And I am not the person to do it. Anna, I don't want to speak for you, but you manage so many of these. I don't think you're the person either. Like, I think that if we've got this content, the best thing that we can do to make efficient use of it is to hire professionals to get it out there and promote it and develop content and relationships with other social media figures to help promote it.
Right. Yeah. What I will be doing for this campaign is overseeing the social media post, but not managing, right? So not creating the content and not adding it, just making sure that it's happening and looking at those metrics. I will also be creating a page on the Devon website that will be in addition to the social media posts, and that's an idea that we came up with Cindy and also the Silverman group, because a lot of the businesses that will have videos do not have a social, they don't have any online what is the word I want to say? I forgot.
Presence. We don't, there's not something for us to link to. It's like, okay,
Right.
here's a video
So-
about this business, but they don't have a website or they don't have a Facebook. So like,
Exactly.
there needs
So
to be
then-
something to link to. Where do we put it?
Right. And so that, thank you, Cindy. So then the On Devon website will have a only On Devon page that will list all the businesses that are going to be on the Devon, on the video campaign, with their logo, if possible, or an image of their product, their address, their services. If they have a website, if they have a social media, then that will also be added. But this is in addition to, in order to be able to be equitable to everyone, all the businesses, including the ones that don't have any online presence. So that also will be happening with the videos, but the social media posts, yeah, definitely. And I also want to make sure, I'm not here to impose my will, right? I am here just to let you know from a marketing standpoint what the procedures should be, and also to give you an idea of costs and good practices, goal achieving. And I've been doing this for a long time, and it takes time. It takes a long time to get the numbers that I think we all really want. And so the Silverman actually came up with this tiers because we asked them to. Their suggestion was to increase posts and everything. And then we also were like, we also need new photos. We also need new content. And I proposed that they give us tiers so we could look at what that looks like and how that can influence our social media goals. Because I think at the end, we all kind of agree that we want Devon Avenue to have followers, so then everyone knows what's going on there, event-wise, business-wise, and that it's a fun place to be, right? And I think that is the goal. And I think if it's more comfortable, I can also just leave. I was here to like answer questions, and let you know like what has been done and what could possibly happen in the future.
Sounds good.
I think let's all reach out to some social media people and let's all get some bids, so we're comfortable with moving forward with one of these proposals, and then we can go from there.
Not what I do.
Not you. I mean, I'll work on it. I'm gonna talk to Junaid. I'm gonna ask him to work on it. I know he does a lot of social media and he's into it a lot, and I know Irshad's also into it, so I'm gonna talk to these guys. Whoever I know that is doing it. Sanita, do you do social media or anything like that?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you can also ask your team or whoever you're using and working with,
Okay.
you know, yeah, take a look at the proposal. I think they sent over the email. So
Yeah.
just, if you get a minute, just take a look at that and talk to them and explain them what we're looking for. We want to get this done. We obviously don't want to waste money, but we want to spend money right.
Okay. I'll talk to my IT guy.
Okay.
All right. Any other thoughts as to general goal setting or vision for?
I want to double down
the,
on what Pete said. When are we going to get the lights fixed and the banners fixed?
Yeah.
So banners is on my list, because we'll probably just order new banners to be printed. We don't have any more back stock. I did reach out to Bannerville, and they didn't have any back stock left. So we are going to need to order more for the spring. We do have that budgeted for in 21. So I just need to walk the street with Brandon and get a count as to how many we need ordered. But the design's already done. We'll just be using, reprinting some of those ones that already exist for printing. That's
Cindy, there was a sizing issue last time, and
Yeah.
a lot of them, because that, can we make sure they do them according to this, the right size of the brackets, not the right size of what the city had given.
Okay.
Because that's the reason half of them ripped. So. Or we can go to another company because they should have never installed them if they didn't fit.
Yeah, I have the sizes in the contract also, so we don't have to argue about it later.
Yeah, I'll go through Gina's files and get that. But
Thank you.
yeah, that should be a pretty straightforward thing to get those ordered. And yeah, lights, Scott told me he was gonna have a bid today. Hasn't happened. So I'll be following up with him and a couple of other light vendors, I think. Because yeah, that is a super high priority. I was out there the other night and it looked pretty bad.
That's way,
Yeah. No, I was out there on Friday and I was like, this is sad looking. We need more lights. Let's see. So yeah, I don't have bids for you on that. Unfortunately, Pigeon Abatement, I do have an update. So I did hear back from Rose Pest Control. They did provide a bid for, it's per site, so per building, to do the Avatrol bait, which is the product that Pete had mentioned, looking into it. It doesn't, it's not meant to kill them. It does usually sometimes kill some, according to the exterminators I've spoken with. But there's a monthly cost to set up, to apply that bait, you know, at however many buildings. So a couple $100 a month for that. If it's something that we want to do, I also have another exterminator company, Smithereen, was working with a couple of building owners to get some estimates put together. They were going out there this week, once the snow melts now, I guess that we have snow, to look at making recommendations and quotes for whether they think Avatrol will work, and then prepare quotes and see if there's other means of pigeon exclusion that they also want to recommend. So I don't have the quote from the second guy, but for the first one, it was a couple $100 a month for each site that we want to do bait applications. Pete, you're muted.
a couple $100 a month for, that's just forever?
However long that we want to do it. So it's like a monthly thing that they come and do.
Per site?
Yeah.
Is there a minimum amount of sites or something they require?
There wasn't a minimum. I said that we'd probably look to do 2 or 3 as a pilot if it's something that we want to move forward with. But they recommend, because in addition to applying the bait corn itself, they also recommend you have to do a certain amount of seeding it with non-treated corn to keep them coming back, so that when you put the bait out, they'll come to it. So there's sort of a setup and ramp up period that requires roof access and everything for that.
And that's so it's $200 a month. That's something that SSA would be paying for per or like a split cost with the buildings or something like that, or?
I didn't get into that. I just wanted to see total cost to figure out if that's something that we want to do as split cost or as just an SSA contract.
Right.
Since it's not something that I've ever done or seen, and I asked around to other Northside SSA managers, and none of them had really done anything with pigeon abatement either. But because of its impact on sidewalk cleanliness, it's something that like we can do. Like I asked my contacts at the city and they were like, yeah, it's not forbidden. Like no one's done it, but you could. So I was like, all right.
I like the idea. If we can find a way to deal with this, that would be great. I do it.
It's been a challenge at certain blocks where we know it's been bad. They're messing up signs and awnings, and making a mess on the sidewalk.
But there's no decision we need to make right now.
Not right now, because I was hoping to have more quotes by the time this meeting was happening than I currently do. So still talking with exterminators, and getting some site visits scheduled, but they'll be out this week to write us some quotes. But I did want to share that. And then the next piece that we've still got on here, in terms of like, public way aesthetics was public art and murals. So Rashad and I walked around a little bit on Friday. to identify some sites that we think might work pretty well, particularly some of those corners, like walls where like there's a big flat wall on a side street. So we put together a list of several of those. I think the next step there is going to be just, starting to reach out to artists. I'm going to sit down with Anna at some point this week and try to put something together. So if any of you have any artists that you know or have been in contact with, and could send me those names, we could start reaching out and pitch some of these walls to maybe get something moving for the spring. And I'll consult my 2021 budget again, because I'm pretty sure we did include mural money for this year. Yes, we did. So yeah, we have support for collaborative public art and murals. I had 15,000 for the year. So that could be one big mural. It could be a couple of small ones. But we do have budget in this year for that. Any questions or thoughts on murals?
More murals.
Yes, agreed.
Hey, Cindy, I kind of need to go here.
Sure. I don't think there's anything else that's a voting item. The main thing that I wanted everybody here for was the social media stuff. Yeah, we've covered the budget revision. That was the main thing. So yeah, Pete, if you need to take off.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. All right. So murals we covered. Next thing, mandalas. I know we've sort of beat this horse to death over the last few months, and where we decided to leave it was, the recommendation. I think it was the October meeting where folks voted to just leave them up indefinitely, which we've done and plan to do this past weekend, or maybe it was the weekend before. When the last time we had like the big, windy storm, we did have a couple mandalas get knocked down into the street that we had to go, send Scott out there to collect, which he did. But he is continuing to recommend that those decorations be taken down and stored rather than being left up indefinitely because of the danger of them getting knocked over in wind. So I wanted to throw that out to the group again and see, if people are cool with us going ahead and having those taken down to avoid, the potential of property damage or anything else from those potentially falling.
I think he was charging too much, Cindy. That was the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe have him join us in one of the meetings and we can beat him up on that price. It was costing us, I think, half the price of the mandalas to take them down and put them back up.
I'll see if he can join us for the April meeting, and maybe that'll light a fire under him to get us a quote on the lights, since that one was all the same vendor.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, the only things on new business were that 2020 budget revision, which we did already. Recap on 2020 revenue. For those that were here for the February meeting that wasn't because we didn't have quorum, Sandy and I had just gotten the year-end financial statements from our accountant. He's been sort of behind this year. But for 2020, let us know that we did have a slight shortfall in the amount of property tax revenue that we received versus what was budgeted, which we kind of expected due to COVID, with people like either not paying their property taxes bills or not paying them on time. So just something to be mindful of. It wasn't a big drop. And also worth noting for 2020 budget versus 2020 spending, we actually only spent 69% of what we put in our budget for 2020. So even though we pivoted and spent a ton of money doing the COVID meals program and everything else that we did do, we had pretty substantial savings from not doing things like Devon's Got Talent and some of the other stuff. I mean, we left our landscaping at the level it's been at. We left our snow removal where it's been. You know, we didn't really touch any of those public way aesthetics contracts. But we had a pretty substantial saving just because, you know, we weren't doing much in the way of marketing or events. So I say that, you know, as a point of reference, and also to encourage, you know, folks, especially coming into this year when things are reopening, everyone's excited to get out, that this is potentially a good time to spend the budget that we've budgeted. Because we've been really good stewards of resources in the past. And the reason that we do this and have this SSA and make these budgets is to do stuff to support the businesses and market this district. We've got the money to do it. We even have surplus from last year. So something to keep in mind. BIP, I thought I'd have a BIP request for you this time. They didn't get their quotes in time, so they're gonna come to the April meeting. And then truck replacement. This was the last, you know, sort of new thing. Sandy left, and Maura already knows this because she's one of the folks that we're getting quotes from. So Brandon's truck, the little pickup truck that he uses to come out and supervise our various contractors, died. So we have no truck right now. So Brandon's been using his own vehicle. Sandy's, you know, reimbursing him for mileage. But the truck in the past has been funded from SSAs. It's shared between all four because he drives around all four. So just letting you all know that we are looking to replace that truck. I think we've set a budget ceiling for that of about 20,000. So that'll probably be something that comes back to the commissioners, you know, when they've made a decision as to finding a new truck. But again, we do have budget in for 2021 for sidewalk maintenance materials and supplies. So it'll be coming from that public way aesthetics budget for each of the 4 SSAs that RPBA manages.
Cindy, sorry to cut you off. I thought the SSA was not allowed to own anything.
We are, but we don't technically own it. So if, you know, we're not allowed to like sell it or anything without like permission of the city, but we are allowed to buy equipment like that and have before, because that's how the truck was purchased 10 or 15 years ago, prior to my time. And you can follow up with Sandy if you've got more questions on the specifics of that. But it is allowed and has been done in the past, is my understanding.
Okay. Works for me.
Yeah, that's everything that I had on the agenda for today, folks. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. So thank you for being here. Brad's going to be out again this week doing some video filming. And if you know of any other businesses that maybe haven't signed up to be a part of that and might want to, send them my way. I'm still adding folks to the list. But we have 26, I think, right now that are on the list, and he's already scheduled probably a dozen of them. All right, anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, thanks, folks.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys. Take care.
See you in April. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.